And it is the 100th day. I know it doesn't feel like 100 days, it feels like 100 years. But it's the 100th day of you-know-who's second term. Now, yesterday, he lashed out on social media over reports that he has the lowest approval numbers of any president in the last 7 decades.
Eisenhower, goes back to Eisenhower.
And just this morning, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responded to Amazon's new policy about his tariffs and made this plea to voters. Take a look.
Trust in President Trump. There's a reason he was reelected to this office. It's because of the historic success of his economic formula in the first term.
It was reported this morning that Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect, crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this, since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Shut up. Come back, Whoopi.
We lost Whoop.
I don't even know what to say to this.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I felt like with everything going on, I thought Bezos was a Trumper. And I was afraid because I love Amazon. Everything comes the next day. It's unbelievable. And now I like Amazon again because they're telling people, watch out. I was at Costco the other day, which I love also.
Yes.
And I couldn't get past the people. There were mobs. His legacy is that he made a run on toilet paper. Yeah. That's his legacy after 100 days.
Yeah. Years. And you let it slip. The posting the prices on Amazon, and just hearing that, you think that's a good business model.
Consumer transparency.
Yeah, when you have people turning to Amazon and all of a sudden the prices are jacked up, I actually think it's just transparency to say this wasn't us. And if President Trump believes this was such a great idea, he should just own it and be proud of it rather than being disgraced when people know about it.
Blame it on Biden.
Yeah, but so when we talk about the first 100 days, it's really hard because it feels like he flooded the zone. I can't even really remember even a month ago with some of the things we've dealt with over time, but I think we learned all we needed to know about this presidency in the first hours after he became president with the pardons of the January 6th insurrectionists, and then also he removed the security detail of John Bolton. So it kind of came down to this: if you are a friend of Donald Trump, you will be fine. In fact, you will have certain levels of impunity and you won't have to be accountable. If you are a foe, be careful, he will come for you. And I think that he will come for you. Yes, Whoopi. But because it's kind of like the whole thing with what we're seeing with Russia and Ukraine. Many people were surprised immediately when he kind of went with Russia, but Zelensky's not his friend. It was the Zelensky phone call that caused his second impeachment. You also look at first impeachment, excuse me, Pete Hegseth. When Hillary Clinton was taken down, it was her emails. And now Pete Hegseth can email everyone in his phone book, and it's all right, you know, like, because he's loyal. So I think that's what we learned. And all the GOP senators who are now saying we are petrified, specifically Lisa Murkowski, I think that is the vibe that if I had to categorize all 100 days, that's what it is to me.
For me, with the 100 days, I think what I'm gleaning from it is that he is trying to take and consolidate the power of all three branches into the executive branch, right? What's really important to note is that we do have this wonderful system of checks and balances that our founding fathers thought through. And so you've got the executive branch and the judicial branch and the legislative branch. And the legislative branch, which is Congress, is really the branch that is supposed to be there legislating and making up laws. What he has done in the first 100 days is he has had 142 executive orders. That is unprecedented. It's more than any other president in history in the first 100 days. By contrast, During his first administration, 33, Obama, 19, George W. Bush, 12, Biden, 42. And so he's doing something that's unprecedented. And 2/3 of Americans now are very fearful of these executive orders. They're very unhappy with the way
because
that the country is going.
going through the
It's not going through the process.
Yes, that's it.
The process that has been sets up this, I think, country for success. So I think our takeaway really needs to be that so many Americans realize that the country is going badly, and through Amazon's actions, I think people are now getting with it. I think people are saying, oh, my goodness.
That's called the trickle-down theory.
Yeah, people are saying, oh, my goodness, this is not great.
I was struck by something that was said by the White House press secretary in this clip, which I actually agreed with, which was that Americans voted for him based on the economic formula that led to success in his first term. The problem with it is he is not following that economic formula, and he in fact ran on not following that economic formula. So what gave us a pretty strong economy until COVID hit was thoughtful deregulation, targeted trade deals like the USMCA with Canada, a tax bill that lowered costs for consumers and made people invest here. He is doing the absolute opposite. The former vice president's chief of staff has called him out, and he is saying these tariffs are the antithesis of what made you have success in the first term. And in a matter of 100 days, he's underwater in basically all of his numbers, but most notably, the two things he got elected on, border security and the economy. Only 47% of people support him on immigration. Only 38% do on the economy. And I'm telling you, we're not feeling the real impact of these tariffs yet. Give it a few weeks, you're going to see empty shelves, you're going to see skyrocketing costs.
I just want to say one thing about immigration, because something that he did, indirectly probably because of his policy, is he sent this family back to Honduras, a mother and her children. And one of the kids is a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer. And that child was sent back to Honduras with his mother without medication.
And he was a U.S. citizen.
And the answer that they give, they're so cruel. It's the cruelty. It's palpable.
What Marco Rubio said, is that the one you're talking about?
It's possible. I'm not sure. But to say that, well, the mother was here illegally, really? So you have no compassion for a 4-year-old child with stage 4 cancer.
Well, under birthright
that is the legacy that we will remember.
Well, I do want to point out something,
And the
that he
child's father
came
was
in
citizen
and Obama left him quite well off, left the nation well off. And Biden also left the country very well off. See, folks have to remember, you know, we are very fickle in this country. We forget, you know, you can be mad at one side or the other, but you have to stick with the facts. And the facts are, we left good stuff, he has pooped on it.
Right.
He has now taken us to a place where people are just being removed.
Right.
American citizens. These children are American citizens. He hasn't changed that law yet, right?
That child was born here.
Yes, but he's been trying to remove the law that allows you, if you're born in this country, to
the
be.
Supreme Court is going to take it up later in the term.
Right, but it's still the law. It's still the law. It's still law that you, me, everybody can say what you need to say, because it's still a free country. Until these laws change, you must fight them.
Well, there has to be a constitutional amendment to change it.
You can't do it with an executive order.
No, you cannot.
So until it becomes a new law, you have every right to say how you feel. You have every right to say, I don't like what's going on. You have every right to say, why am I paying for this when I didn't have a fight with anybody. We're just trying to get through.